God, please just come into this space. I've been struggling. I really need you right now. I really need you right now.
I heard from God. I heard from God.
God is always trying to communicate with us. It's about if we're willing to communicate back, we're willing to see the signs that He's trying to give to us.
Because, you know, I'm not competing with God. I'm not competing with God, you know.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Sacred Sports Souls. This is a podcast and a space where we just talk about sports and faith and all the other stuff in between. I'm your host, Talia Edmonds, and I am here with my roomies, the last two roomies to come on the podcast. This is Pani and this is Riley. Can you guys just say how, actually we're gonna talk about how we even got into this house that we now live in. And I want each of them to explain their little story because everybody has a different way to the house.
So I think I am one of the OGs. I think I'm one of the last OG people from the Palolo house. But I was a senior, and Brooke Van Sickle and Jolie had asked or were looking for people to room with them, and my roommate and I at the time were also looking for another place to stay. So then we said why not, and then Jolie I think did majority of the looking, and it was kind of tough during COVID times.
Oh yeah.
So she was the perfect person to look for a great house.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it was me, Brooke, Jolie, Mariah, and me, Brooke, Mariah. Oh wait, yeah, that was all of us.
Okay. Yeah. And me. Wait, oh, you said
And
me.
yeah. That was all of us. And yeah, that's how we came out.
And if you don't know the basic layout, I won't tell you guys all about our house because then you're gonna know what our house looks like. But there's a big room and there are 4 smaller rooms. And Pani was originally. Are you the OG of the big room?
Oh, the master.
Yeah, the big room. But
I had
now
no idea though how big
it's
it was.
huge.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know is it's really it's
it
really
was
big.
Super last minute. So.
Yeah.
My only request was my own bathroom.
Oh yeah, you got that.
And then
You got that. And more.
Yeah.
Okay, Riley, how'd you get here?
So this was kind of like simultaneous to Pani looking for this. So our stories kind of like align in that. But I actually was trying to move out of the dorms when COVID hit, which was terrible. They were like not trying to let us move out, but we convinced them to let us go off campus.
And this is you and Liv, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
So me and Liv were looking for a place, and I found us a little 2-bedroom the same year that Pani moved in here. And I ended up being over here almost every single day.
Yeah.
Yes, I was with Pani like the whole COVID break, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
So I basically lived on this couch.
We have a running joke of like there's usually like a 6 roommate that like
so I
basically
was the original.
She's
6
the
roommate.
OG 6 roommate.
I started it. Literally lived on this couch for months, and then Liv went back home, and I didn't know if she's gonna come back, so I started looking for places kind of by myself, and then it was too expensive.
Yeah, I was gonna say living
way too expensive.
Absolutely not.
So Brooke was like, "Why don't you just move in here? Like, there's some openings." I think that was it. Yeah, Mariah and you were leaving.
Oh my gosh.
So I kind of filled Mariah's room, and then
Yeah.
so I just stayed.
And it's so crazy because also the reason I have these two on my podcast right now is partially because we're roommates, yes, and they're the last of the roommates, but also because I get to be their teammate. Well, I got to be Pani's teammate for 3 weeks, and I've gotten to be Riley's teammate for more than 3 weeks, 2 years, like 2 years now. And as you guys can kind of see, our house is just always people filing in and out. But being roommates with somebody gives you like a really weird kind of cool relationship with them.
How they are off the court, and how they treat their rooms, and how their living spaces are set up. And
What they eat,
when they eat, yes. As you can imagine, actually, I don't know if you guys can imagine. How would you guys describe yourselves as roommates? Like clean, messy, I don't know, like social, not social?
I'd say I'm like a lazy social.
That's a great description.
Yeah, I'm like a lazy social.
Yeah.
Like I do my part. Sometimes I get lazy. I'm pretty social.
That's a great description.
Yeah. So,
And Riley, what do you say?
I'm gonna go with type A clean freak.
Riley is the cleanest person
Yes.
I've ever met. Like literally.
I love cleaning. That is literally what I would rather do in my free time than speak to people most often. I don't enjoy when the house is super full. Yeah, I would rather be alone.
It's also so funny because Riley's just not the social aspect. So even her on this podcast, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that you decided to come on here with us. But so kind of transitioning from roommates, we're also friends. We are not just roommates. Like some people get very much like that's just my roommate, and you know some people I've had that experience. We've had those experiences, but I was super blessed. Oh, how did I end up in the house? I guess I knew Brooke. Our moms played club volleyball together, like way back in the day. Not calling you guys old or anything, but that's the truth. They were club teammates, and then when I found out I was transferring to Hawaii, they happened to have somebody moving out of one of the rooms, and she was looking for somebody to sublease. So I just was super fortunate and blessed to be able to move in here because that's where I made all my friends for the longest time. Like my roommates were my only friends, and that's still kind of the case. Like I guess you can throw some other people in now too, but
I remember Rick talking about it too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like planning on because there was between me and
it took us so long to figure out how to pronounce your name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like months.
That happened.
Yeah.
So you were just a random that we were like, who is this girl?
Brooke was like, there's this girl coming.
Yeah.
She's friends with my mom.
She was like, yeah, Talia. Talia's coming.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. That's you guys got a new girl coming in. That's cool.
She didn't even tell us you played volleyball.
Oh.
First of all.
This sounds like very much like Brooke. Very much. This is
We
who's
thought you were a
moving in.
NARP that just was coming.
Yeah.
I was actually Riley's teammate at that time. And Lana, because Lana was here at that time. But yeah, looking back though, I am like, I don't know how I got so lucky. Like every time people walk into this house, they're like, this is what the house is like. Like it's beautiful. This is probably the nicest place I've lived in college. Like especially in terms of price. Price is going up a little bit, but that's okay because we're making it work. But yeah, I've just made a lot of my friendships and my relationships in this house. So that's what I was gonna segue into is friendship. And just like, I guess, how would you guys describe the people you keep around as your friends? Like, what's your requirement? Because I know Riley's is pretty strict.
I don't have a lot of people that I connect with like right off the bat. So like even me doing this is like a testament. Like, that means I actually like you. Like I would not do this for just anybody.
No, seriously.
No, actually. I like people who are very honest and upfront with me. So that's not something you find all the time. But yeah, I think that's kind of like the basic.
Yeah, because Riley's also very upfront. Like, and what she's asking of a friend is who she is, and I respect that.
Yeah.
I think that's.
And I think people who don't know how to give that to me aren't gonna take it well from me. So it's just how I live my life, and I can't change it. But yeah, most of the people I hang out with are super, super chill, super easygoing, and
how does that fit in with you? You would say?
I mean, it's kind of the same, but also like being genuine. And I feel like I also have a good read on if they're genuine or not.
For sure.
And I mean, I'm very thankful that I've met a lot of genuine people, and I'm obviously closer to people that I spend more time with.
Yeah.
And those who I like have enough time to see. So a lot of my friends are teammates, and those who I don't really spend time with. It's not because like we're not close friends. It's just because I don't have time. But yeah, just if they're genuine.
Yeah.
And I'm very social, and
you have a level of straightforwardness to you as well. Though.
If they can handle it,
Yeah, and like bluntness. I think when I first met the both of you, so I just met Pani when she moved back here this past fall, I guess. And then obviously I've known Riley for 2 years now, but I feel like I also am attracted to people who have that quality of like very honest and like straightforward. Even though I wouldn't necessarily call myself that, I wouldn't say I'm the most like straightforward, blunt person, but I like surrounding myself with people like you guys because you need it. The honest truth, you need it.
Yeah,
So
I don't really sugarcoat anything. Everything's just like on the plate. And what's on the plate is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
I feel like we're both pretty similar in the fact that like we're not great at lying just for the sake of being nice.
For making somebody like feel
being
better.
Nice. Yeah. Like we're gonna tell you what we want to say, not what you want to hear necessarily, which is kind of controversial and it gets us maybe in trouble sometimes, but
very much so. Yeah, sometimes in trouble.
Yeah.
Dude, you just put that so perfect. That was so, and you talk, Riley's like, I don't articulate my words very, very well.
That was one thing I do.
But that was really good. That was really good. But so we talked a little bit about teammates, we talked a little bit about friendship, so you guys obviously both play beach volleyball and Riley plays indoor as well. But a big part, especially in my like short 3 weeks of playing on the team here, was like realizing how important partnerships are in beach. And if for those of you who don't know like the layout of beach, do you guys want to just kind of give a quick rundown of maybe what the difference between indoor and beach is, and then also like kind of what beach specific things people should know.
Do you want to start explaining how beach kind of works?
How beach?
Yeah.
Like college beach, like new college beach.
Yeah, because
like
it's different from high school.
Like how the game works, or
like the pairs and the
pairs.
Yes.
Flights.
Yes.
Okay, well, beach volleyball is kind of, I always compare it to tennis. If like people watch tennis and it's more of a popular sport.
Yeah.
So there are two people who play with each other, kind of like doubles in tennis. And then how NCAA made it a team sport is that we have 5 flights with a pair on each flight. And
so
then you have
10 people total.
10 people total start and they play. And out of those 5 flights, if you win like 3 flights, doesn't matter where, just as long as there are 3 out of the 5, you win the entire match.
Nice. And then typically, because I feel like people ask this question as well, is it 1 through 5 as in like 1 is your best pair and 5 is your, okay.
Yes.
That's
Perfect.
how it should be in theory, but
Okay. No, it doesn't always.
some coaches have different philosophies and
Yeah.
Yeah.
how you stack your lineup.
Yeah,
and-
especially with Long Beach
Yeah.
last year. They definitely spread out their depth.
Yeah.
They had a girl at their 1s the next year at their 5.
That's interesting.
So it's just kind of strategy where you put people.
Okay, and
But-
that differs
Yeah,
from,
so
what'd you say?
obviously indoor is 6 people on the court at the same time. You have to be a little bit more skilled like overall in everything when you play beach, and I think that's kind of why I personally like playing beach, is because I do most of the skills for indoor anyways, being an outside, so a lot of the skills that I use for indoor transfer to beach and vice versa. Like my games are very similar, which I think is kind of not atypical, but like a lot of people don't do both because they're either really good at one thing or they're really good at another.
I agree. A lot of girls struggle.
Yeah, they struggle. They want to go.
But over time, like they get so much better. Like Emily Maglio was our All-American.
Same thing with Amber. Like she started playing beach, and I don't think she even knew what to expect. And she kind of
so great at
she was so good, and it helped develop her in ways that you would never imagine.
For
so
sure.
like even for the short time that people do stuff like that, like it's just so helpful to kind of do a different sport. In general.
Would you describe it as essentially 2 different sports? Because that's kind of how I explain it to people in ways is like, because even the like skill, like the rules and the skills required are different. Just like Riley was saying, you have to be more of an all-around player on the beach. But are there positions in beach?
Yeah, so there's a blocker and defender normally. Some people can split block, which means you kind of switch who's blocking and defending. You do both. But yeah, I would say it's more popular to do a blocker and defender.
Yeah, for sure.
I think.
Yeah.
So there's technically positions, but you can do everything in the end.
Just for funsies, who do you think coming from indoor? Because not everybody can go from indoor and do beach and beach do it. It's
really hard.
Typically doesn't work that way. Yeah,
it's really hard.
Mentality.
That's okay.
More to think about.
I need you to speak to that because I feel like that's so
I
real.
think before you start talking, I think the biggest thing is the mentality switch.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
That is personally what I believe is the difference between a beach player and an indoor player. But
Yeah, because like we have like shots.
Yes.
And like they're like you also have to set. And
Yeah.
then there's also elements.
Yeah, oh my gosh, you're literally playing
Rain.
outside. It's an
like,
outdoor
we're
sport.
outside, so
Yeah.
There's that definitely changes the way you think when approaching the game
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
As opposed to indoor.
yeah.
But yeah.
For sure. I think the one thing that I kind of have to get back into the groove of things coming off of indoor season, going back into beach, is just like getting my thought process in the right like pathway, I guess, just because there's so many things like Pani just mentioned about what you have to think about and just all these outside factors that you have to take into account other than your volleyball skill.
Yeah.
Because I think most beach girls are pretty skilled in their like individual touches.
Yeah.
And I think what makes a great beach player like is just how they mentally approach the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you can bring that into indoor also, which is what I try to do. So
Yeah.
And I
the
think,
balance.
would you guys, because you both have, I don't know if the word is more aggressive, but you're both very competitive in your nature. And I think that's been cool just to see as both their teammates, because it shows up differently for the both of you. Like Riley's very much knows a lot and like can apply it to your skill. Like if you need to know anything, especially indoor, if you need to know anything about what you're supposed to be blocking, where you're supposed to be, you go to Riley and you ask Riley because Riley knows where she's supposed to be. And Pani, what I see from you too is Pani has this like fire that I feel like when some of the stories that you tell me, just like with your old partners and how you've grown over your careers, like how you manage that fire and like putting it instead of maybe towards your partner, like the frustrations that may arise from that, just like directing it to your play into the other, like you versus the other team. But I just think it's so cool to see you both and how you approach the same game where it's you and your partner and you're essentially playing the same team, but in beach you're playing different pairs and it's way more like personal in a way. It's like you and the other pair across the net.
Very personal.
But how would you describe kind of the importance of the relationship you have with your partner on the beach? Either one of you can.
Well, I think relationships are obviously very important. Like you two can be the best volleyball players. You can put two great volleyball players together, but if they do not mesh, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Swear.
Have you had that experience? Do you feel like?
I definitely have had like not really like there's no connection, you know? It's just like we're playing volleyball. But like when you both have connection, you both can see
You're seeing similar.
strategies
Okay, yeah.
similarly.
Yeah, okay,
And it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Obviously, if there's not connection, you have to make up in other ways, which just makes it harder and takes way more time. I do think that over time you can try to, but like with college, we only have so much time.
It's
and
short.
you're getting new partners so often, and every year new people are in and out. So
Yeah, so it's harder in college, but I think professional, you can make it work. But in college, it's definitely difficult to try and like fill those gaps if you guys aren't connecting like that.
And I think connection can be like anything. Like you could connect over like the passion that you have for playing and the desire you want to win, or you can connect in the fact that you're both going to do your jobs and that's how it is. Like you don't have to be friends. You don't have to like the other person necessarily,
I've
or
had that relationship too.
have the same beliefs as them. Nothing. Like you can connect in any level, which is crazy.
I've never really heard it put that way. That you're talking about connection, then you're talking about just connecting over something. It could literally be anything, but it's about how are you gonna be seeing the game more similarly than if you have somebody who you just are like on two completely different pages with on mostly everything, or like even on one thing that could be a crucial thing. I've heard like beach partners, and we were kind of talking about this yesterday as we were preparing for this, but beach partners like compared to like a marriage or like a relationship, as you would be in, like, so me and Riley both have boyfriends. I feel like when she describes her relationship with her boyfriend. It's like, oh, that kind of sounds like
Yes.
how it could work.
Yeah, because I also think when you have an understanding of your role and you both can understand
yeah.
Execute it,
yeah, then it becomes way easier.
Yeah.
Because my first year playing, like I was with people, but it wasn't really working out, and then they had made a switch, and then they put me with a 2-time All-American. I was like, what? And we were not friends off the court at first, but like I understood what she wanted, and she was so great. She set things up for me so perfectly, and I was like, okay, I'll give it to
You could play and you would like play you knew what your role was, and you were like, okay, I'll play my role, and you were just like, that's it. But both roles are so important. Like I feel like that's also there's not one that's more important than
I think
the
it's
other.
very comparable, like you said, to a relationship. Like you need to kind of make up for the other person in ways that they lack, and they'll do the same for you. Like you have to kind of balance them 50-50, but things aren't necessarily like I'm doing this every single day, you're doing the other thing. Like it changes, your needs change. I think that's very similar to a relationship. Like you have to compromise sometimes, and you're not going to always be happy with your partner, and they're not going to be happy with you. So
But if there's a mutual understanding like of that 50-50, it should work.
Yeah.
But if it's 60-40, you're going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Or it's kind of not going to work, I think.
Do you think you could kind of base what you learn off of your, like, what you learn in your sport, so what you learn in beach and what you learn about relationships in beach, do you think you could kind of take that framework and be like, I want a boyfriend, or I want to be in a relationship that's like, kind of like this or not like this at all? Like, do you think that? I mean,
I've like actually had somebody that I played beach with say that. Like they were like, if you were a boy, like I would date you.
be in a relationship.
Like I could see it working out. I don't even remember who it was. I forget who. We were like talking so randomly, but someone was like talking about how the person they were playing with, like at the moment, if they were the boy version, like, they'd be like great. They'd be like, yeah, I'd date you.
There's like this theory in psychology, and like I've taken like marriage and family therapy, all these different things. And there's this theory that if you do, like, say you're dating somebody, like you're supposed to do things that are like challenging. So like you go and you do a bunch of different challenges. You like say you go canoeing, or like you do something that's really hard, and it's like how you work as a team together can kind of be a predictor of like how successful your relationship's gonna be. And you guys are both speaking to like beach volleyball is literally something where you're figuring it out, and it's hard. So I could definitely see how that would work.
I think that's something that's kind of different from indoor for me too, just because like for beach we do a lot of team bonding stuff, and you don't always necessarily see the point of it, but like when you like canoeing, we've done canoeing, and I think we even see like little pieces of carrying your weight for the canoe can connect to beach volleyball like so easily. So I think even little stuff like that is just really easy to transition between the two of them.
So we just got done talking about like teammates and relationships, and I think that on every team, because also being on the indoor team, even though you're not in a marriage necessarily, you still got to deal with people, and it's more people, so the relationships are a little bit more complex, but you can get away with doing your job more, and I think that that's something that I really like about indoor. But this year, Riley and I got to experience, so Riley's a 5th year, I'm a 6th year, Pani's a 7th year, we'll get to that in a second. But being older, like it really kind of just puts you into this leadership position because you're experienced, like you know a lot. There are girls who are 18, I'm 23, like this is it very
turning
much
24.
Turning 24, like okay, we didn't need to say that. But it really puts you in this position of like being teammates with girls like that. It gives you just a sense of responsibility. And so I would love, because Riley and I definitely, and all the other seniors that were also on the team, it took us some time to kind of figure out roles and stuff. But what have you kind of learned about yourself in terms of like what kind of leader you are? Because you're definitely a leader. What are your takes?
I think me and you kind of figured out a way in indoor to kind of, you were like my voice, and that was super helpful. So I think just kind of finding ways to be a voice myself is how I would lead better, but yeah, I think I'm a lead by example type of person, but
Yeah, and I don't mean to make you emotional.
I know.
You're already getting
You're
you
already
emotional. But Riley really, like, there were times, because we did pretty well like this past season, but there were times when it was really, really hard. Like, it was hard emotionally, it was hard physically, it was hard in all the ways. And there were times where I think, like, me and Riley would just be sitting, we're just like, dude, we don't even know what to do. There were so many challenges in front of us, but where we came was to a point of Riley has so many strengths and like so many things she does well, but like we said at the beginning of the podcast, she's just not the type of person who's gonna be vocal all the time. The social aspect, the speak out, the vocal leader aspect, that's just not her. And there were so many situations where people were being asked to like be something that there is not them. And like when you're being asked, especially in like a team environment, to be something that you're not, it ultimately is gonna affect your play and everybody's gonna be playing roles that aren't theirs. And we came across that, but Riley is literally one of the best leaders by example I have ever got to be teammates with. And I think that it was unfair in a lot of ways when it felt like there was some like importance being placed on only the people who talked a lot, or like only the people who were vocal leaders, or only the people who were very rah-rah, like whatever that might be. And this is absolutely no shade, this is raw truth about how our season went. Actually. But it was like, where's the value in leadership being placed? And I think, like we were saying, there's value in who you are as yourself. And I loved getting to be your teammate, and I loved like just seeing that you showed up every day the same, like consistently the same player, consistently leading by example. And the girls I know they love you for that now, especially as they get to know you, because also the younger girls are usually afraid of Riley.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to talk to her, but when they get to know her, they know that she just that's who she is a very like, I'm gonna lead by example. I don't need to say much. I don't need to back up any of my talk with, or any of my play with talk. Like, I'm gonna just show up and I'm going to kill the ball and hit you in the face and not say anything about it, or not react at all in the huddle. I'm just gonna move on to do my job. So I don't know, I wanna give you those props, and I wanna just say I love being your teammate. This is one of the hardest things too. Being now a retired athlete and they get to be teammates is
close to retirement.
They're getting to retirement, but I'm now in retirement, and I just am gonna miss like that teammate aspect. And yeah, so that was just a little props to Riley. But yeah, for Pani, we talk about Pani being a seventh year, and so how do you explain this to people? Because you're like, okay, 5th, 6th, 7th. They're like, okay, what's going on with?
Yeah, so I mean, I redshirted my freshman year because like I mainly played indoor, and my senior
I did not know that.
Of high school, I started playing beach, and then came here to UH, and the team was absolutely stacked. Like top 3 in the country. We also had more indoor girls at the time, in addition to Emily Maglio. And I just felt like I just had still more to work on. And the coach at the time had offered me a red shirt, and I said, yeah, why not? And it was a great opportunity for me to like look forward to what I was going to expect, which was competing at a high level. And then COVID had happened, so I got that.
Yep.
And then there was a huge switch after COVID had happened. Like our head coach was dropped, and then we combined programs with indoor, and then we had the assistant coach be our head coach. And
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a big culture change, and I was graduating, so I thought, change would be good for me. And then I transferred to UCLA, and then did my my 5th and 6th year, and then had a medical. So then I was going to be done after my medical, and then Danny Alvarez, who used to be an assistant coach, had asked me to come, and I said, why not?
Yeah.
So then it brought me here. So yeah.
And you are currently getting your master's in what? Can you please?
Oh yeah, I'm getting my master's in Pacific Island Studies.
She's getting her master's in Pacific. This is her second master's that she's getting. Doesn't know anything really about Pacific Islands. Oh no, you definitely know more now because you grinded that last semester.
She puts in work.
You put in some work.
Yeah, a lot of reading, but
Yeah.
it's definitely not something to take lightly. Yeah, because I feel like when people think, like, oh, Pacific Islander, like, oh yeah, like, that's cool. But what's amazing about the program is like there's so much.
Oh yeah.
There's so much that you learn, and there's so much that needs to be done within the Pacific. So
Hey,
yeah.
I would love to talk with you about that sometime.
What is the like main thing that made you like want to be like, I'm coming back? Like I'm gonna go back to where I started and. Because I know Danny asked you.
Yeah, Danny was the only one
talking
that
to you,
asked me,
but
and I had a job lined up to teach,
really?
and then I was also going to teach and then coach volleyball while also trying to pursue beach volleyball.
So you had a whole plan.
in California, you
Yeah,
had
in
this?
California. Yeah, I had it set up, interview stuff. But then there's a lot of conversations with parents and with my own parents saying, like, why rush?
Yeah.
And those things are always going to be there.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, yeah, that's also very true. And I mean, I had no reason to say no.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause they are going to always be there. Mm-hmm. And I trust in myself to get those things back. And maybe going to school will even open more opportunities.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not?
Yeah. And so like now speaking on to that responsibility kind of that you now especially like being here and then also going to play at literally a top program in the country. For those of you who don't know, what are they ranked now?
One right now.
UCLA is one in the country for beach volleyball right now. You got to go play in an environment like that, and now you're back here. So you have this such good experience, and you just know a lot about the game and stuff. But what's that been like, kind of stepping into a leadership role here this year?
Definitely me as a player has always been just like do my job and that's it.
Yeah.
And then obviously towards my senior year, people were expecting me to have more of a voice, and I didn't really have that guidance on how to do a voice. So I always was like work hard and like hold other people accountable for their jobs. And then after going to UCLA and like being hurt and also like trying to look at other leaders while not being like in the game.
Yeah.
And then also getting people's experience from like not playing and like people talking to those people, I started to become more comfortable because I was understanding like certain roles.
Yeah.
I guess on the team. But I still think it's kind of the same. Like lead by example, just do my job, work hard all the time. Be a safe space for other players was like a new addition.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely very like when it's volleyball.
Yeah.
I'm like strict, nothing else. But there's also like relationships that you create with others, and how I guess trying to figure out how I can be a better teammate off the court. Like, oh yeah, like you can come to me with this and that. Was oddly hard to learn.
Yeah, it's like it's crazy because people like take some of these skills that especially. So I feel like my leadership kind of developed from when I was at Michigan State, but also there's these skills that people were talking about in terms of like leadership. I got this book my coach gave me, and it was all these different types of leaders, and I'm like, I feel like I don't have some of these skills. So like, do I have to learn them? Does somebody have to teach me? Like, how do you even develop these things? Cause I feel like sometimes people just expect them of you. They're just like, you don't know it. Like,
It's a thing like that I also learned about being in college for so long is that people are different and they approach working hard in different ways.
Yeah.
And like a couple years ago, I was like, it's either you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
But
Very black and white.
Yeah, understanding like that they're gonna get there their own way.
Yeah.
So definitely patience is a thing that I have worked on and still am working on.
Yay, patience. we love
Yeah.
But it's also learning about like competing at the #1 program and then coming here, like no shade on UH or anything, but it's just like, just a lower
Different
level.
expectations and
Yeah,
Yeah.
different expectations, different level, and learning how to balance that
Yeah.
is definitely what I'm currently learning. But it's so weird because I'm so social and I'm so friendly, but I'd say my type of leadership is just doing my job and
Yeah.
trying to hold other people accountable and just working on when to say things when they need to be said
Yeah.
was always the thing that I had trouble with, but I'm getting better at.
That's
For
good.
sure.
That you
And
can really practice.
it's so weird because I didn't really know you the first year I played beach, but like obviously I knew who you were, and like we started hanging out shortly after that. But it's so weird to see like your evolution. I love it.
Pani has. Well, how would you like talk about her evolution from when you first met her to like now? I would love to hear, because I also, like I said, me and Pani are
Yeah.
like recently.
I think she was like she's saying like she was just very like do your job. If you're not doing your job, like what are you doing? Like why are you here? Kind of thing. And I think she's very like she understands that people struggle with different things, and she's very willing to help people. And like she said, she's super social, so that's like an aspect that I think she's really been trying to work into her volleyball, and it's so cool to see. Like
You're integrating this person that you are into
Off
this
the court.
volleyball player, and like that's so cool, because I think that's people want to follow genuine leaders. Like coaches or anybody can place somebody in a leadership position, but if the people, and by the people I mean the team, if the team's not with it just because they're like, I feel like this person's pretending to be something that they're not, then people like can sense that inauthenticity. And I think that you showing up as yourself and you showing up as yourself is like what makes you guys both really good leaders.
It's pretty vulnerable too.
It's super.
And that's why I think I had such a hard time like speaking up, you know what I mean? That's why like leading by example was so easy, but when it came to like, bring it in. That I think is just like establishing the vocal part, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's funny because like as we also said this too, and that we'll kind of segue into the next part, but like the vocal part is always something that has come easy for me. Like I'm the type of person who, if I have to say something, I'm like the kid in class who's like sitting there, I'm like, I need to say something right now, like call on me right now. It's crazy how my brain process works, because it's almost like the words are trying to like fight their way out. Like I'm sitting there and I have so many thoughts, especially as coaches, if coaches are talking or like, and I know that I can sense a disconnect between maybe what the coaches are saying, what the girls are hearing and perceiving. I'm like, I feel like I can connect those dots, but I say that to say like to develop the vocal leadership part, it's like you already know what to say. Like there's no pressure on. If you don't have anything to say, you literally don't have anything to say. You can't just make it up. Like that's where the ingenuineness comes in. But I think that in those moments where you're just like, you're being yourself fully, and like you're also locked into the game, like those things, when you're supposed to say them, they'll just come up. And that's also based on how well you know the people that you're leading. I think that matters a lot too, and how much they know you. So like, just there's no pressure in being that vocal leader. It'll just when you get that little voice in the back of your head that's like, maybe we should say something. Yeah, listen to that.
Yep.
Listen to that.
It's hard to just blurt things out like that.
Yes, that's
I've
true.
definitely become more comfortable with it.
Yeah. One thing that I love about sports, and that's also what kind of made me motivated to make the podcast, is I feel like sports are just ingrained into who we are. Like there's no way after we're done with this thing that, or actually, oh my gosh, I'm done. That's weird. But after you guys are done, and as in this point that I am now, it's just kind of like, how do I now turn these things that I've learned through literally a ball and some other stuff, like how do I turn those skills and those life lessons into something that I can now apply to what we would call the real world, I guess, because yes, this is real world, but we're also like, I still ask my parents for things and I am very reliant on them. So I don't know, like I feel like you guys are more than just volleyball players, and you do stuff outside of volleyball. We're assuming you do, but what are kind of the things that you guys are maybe even thinking about when volleyball's done, or just some stuff that you enjoy doing? You guys can take that question wherever you want to take it.
This is such a weird part of life, because volleyball takes up so much time.
Yeah.
and it's so hard to find things outside of it. Like, I think COVID was a great chance for people to kind of find things, not necessarily me, but
Riley, what did you do during?
Hang out, go to the beach.
Yeah, we hung out a lot. We were avid runners, I
Okay.
would say.
Oh, yeah.
We ran the Alawai basically every single day.
That's crazy.
We were prepping. That's nice.
Yeah, we were prepping for volleyball, so I don't know how much. Still for
Even
volleyball.
through COVID, we were prepping
Yeah.
for volleyball.
But yeah, we were channeling different ways for us to use like our athleticism, I guess.
Okay.
You want to
That's
put it
like a
like that?
super,
Like we were still being athletes without being an actual athlete.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, I tried to paint, I tried journaling, I tried literally so many different things. I'm not creative whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, Riley, we talked
I
about
know,
this.
but like the
She's creative.
typical
Yes.
definition of creative just doesn't fit with me.
Yeah.
So it's
know
hard
that.
to find outlets in that sense because people are like, oh, try this, and I'm like, that's boring. I'm not doing that. So yeah, I think for me, like things like cleaning, like that's so cheesy and like.
No, that's.
No.
But cleaning is my safe space. So like
Riley
actually.
is the best cleaner.
I don't know why.
We have a, we were talking about creativity. One of these, the three of us were talking about creativity, and Riley's like, I don't think I'm creative. And Pani also said the same thing, but it's easy to fight Pani on that
Yes.
because Pani
What the
has a
heck?
secret hidden talent. It's not the sweatshirt,
not the sweatshirt.
but Riley's secret hidden talent is that she can organize Tupperware like nobody's
I'm so
business.
good. It's from my dad, I promise. My dad is the same way. Shout out, Dad.
Shout out
Shout
Riley.
out,
Dad.
Dad.
He's the best.
Yes, my dad literally passed
he
that
did
to
the
me. He's so organized, and I think that's just like become part of my personality.
It's a level
So,
of creativity
It
for
is,
sure,
it
though.
is.
I would say that. But yeah, Pani, what are you doing after
What do
volleyball?
I do other than sport? Or what
Yeah,
do I do
both.
after? Oh,
Both.
Okay. What do I do other than sport? I do about anything. I like am very easy to entertain.
You're a busybody.
Pani is also when Riley says she's a busybody, she is a busybody.
Like this girl will leave the house at 6 a.m. and will not come back until 9 p.m.
Like it's not take a single nap.
out doing stuff.
Like I'll go on hikes.
Yeah.
I'll try and paint. I mean, painting is not really a thing that I do, but it's
Yeah.
a thing that I see others do, and it makes
Yeah.
me want to do it.
Yeah.
I will go to a coffee shop, literally just to go to that coffee shop
You do.
and say that I went there.
You really do.
I'll go to the beach. I'll hang out with my friends.
This is the social part of you coming alive.
Yeah. I'll do anything that my friends would want to
Yeah.
do. I don't know, like I
That's a good
give
one.
them the opportunity
I
to
love that.
make
though.
something. Out of
I
the
feel like
day.
you're very good at like getting people to go do things together. Like
That's a great
You're
point.
really good at being like, hey, you want to do this? And like maybe people aren't necessarily wanting to do something, but they'll go because they want to be with you and
Yeah.
they want to do things with you.
That's so true,
I'm
though.
also
Yeah.
for like the group. Though.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're for the girls, for the girls.
I'll do like you guys want movies, hikes,
Yep.
beach,
Yeah.
and then if they want to do
You're down for whatever.
like any of them or none of them,
Yeah.
then I'll post. Let's sit on the couch.
No, and that's another thing too that I've loved about living in this house is, like we said, so living with four other girls, 5 including yourself, but there's just like so many random social interactions, or just like there's always somebody either in the kitchen or like just sitting on the couch watching a show. And I love that we can just come, like if Liv and Pani are watching a show, you can just come out here and be like, what are we watching?
We're just like take a seat.
Yeah, and you're just taking it. Like,
don't know what's going on.
don't know what's going on. Give me the quickest rundown you can. But like, it's just the opportunity to even have that little bonding moment or whatever you want to call it. And you're right. Riley's right that you do that well. You offer that space well for people.
I think just my overall mentality about like life is like we only have YOLO.
Yeah.
Literally though.
Yeah.
I really take that literal, so
Yeah.
I try to make the best out of it. And then yes, there are some days where I actually don't do anything.
This is true.
And they feel nice. Maybe I have like 10% guilty of not doing anything, but it feels nice to rest. But overall, I just like being around people and like doing things that make myself and others happy.
Yeah. I love that. And so for both of you, I guess then, volleyball after this year, like when you guys are done with your last season, are you going to keep playing volleyball? Are you going to kind of try to do more of that, whatever you want to do with your friends? Like, what's in the cards for you, I guess?
I'm gonna try to go play overseas for indoor after. That's.
Oh, I want to see.
I know. I worked so hard on my highlights.
I want to see them.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. That is like a new development. Like my whole career, I didn't really even think about that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's
cool.
kind of my next step. And then after that, I think I kind of want to come back here and just live the Hawaii life.
With the dog?
Yes.
Her, Cam, and the doggo.
Yeah. So
That's a good plan.
Yep.
For me, one of the sad things about beach volleyball is like the professional life of a beach volleyball player is kind of tough, and
It's hard out here.
it's hard.
it's ironically expensive.
Yeah.
Especially for like someone who's new to it as well. So I definitely want to play beach volleyball after, but I'm definitely gonna go about it in a different way. I'm gonna get a job. I have to figure out with these 3 degrees what.
Pani could do anything.
what
You
I
can literally
I
do
can
anything.
and I love anything. So
Yes.
it's gonna-
That's
So it's gonna be a
great-
love and hate relationship.
'Cause you
but
could
I'm, I'm excited for the different doors I'm gonna face. So definitely gonna work and try and play beach, and I'm gonna definitely live out here for maybe 1 more year to finish out my program, and then also train out here.
perfect place to train.
Yeah.
Great place to train.
That's about it.
Nice. It's so you talk about doors, and that's what I've been realizing since I've been done is kind of like there are so many doors, almost too many doors.
That's the overwhelming
I'm
part.
like I could literally do anything.
And I think for a lot of athletes, what they struggle with after not playing their sport for so long is the fear of doors, but also the fear that they think that there's not going to be any doors.
Yeah.
'Cause they think that their passion was only sport, but
yeah.
trust me, you athletes out there, there are passions for
sure.
you, and there are opportunities for every single human being out there. So I'm sure that.
That was a wise word, honey. That was really, yeah.
That's 7th year speaking to me.
No, but seriously, it's a true fear. But I do think that there is something out there for anybody.
Yeah.
So.
There's just so many skills that are like applicable to the real world.
Yeah.
So I think athletes don't even realize what skills they do have that can transfer so easily.
Yeah, and there's no rush.
Yeah.
There's no rush.
That's what I've been also like managing that.
There is no rush.
There is no rush. There's no like wrong or right way either. Like there's not anything you're supposed to be doing. I think sometimes I get into that space of like, am I supposed to be like working out or something? I don't even know. And then I have to like pause and think. But as you guys know, like I'm kind of doing a lot of different things. Like I guess, but a lot of it's school right now, and then this podcast. But a big part of my life recently has been kind of like how involved I've been in like my spiritual life and stuff like that. And that's a big part of this podcast as well, is just that I've had such an immense shift in my life, like drastic shift. And it's almost like shocking to people because the biggest thing, they're like, I just like really like the religious thing. I'm like, dude, I can't even explain to you where it came from, but I can in a sense. And a big credit to that is just that one, Elijah, as you guys know, as I said in like episode 2, but was a big part of my journey, and just like, hey, he's sitting over there, but just like a big part of my journey, and just like the love that I've been experiencing in my life, and even through my friendships. And that's a big reason that I also want you guys on here, is because I literally love you guys. And I don't know we say that enough either, but I love the people in my life, and I just have felt so blessed that I'm like, I have to know what is the purpose of this like bigger of life really, which I had always been thinking about that, and I didn't have any answers, and I started to find answers. But this spiritual walk for me has been really great, but I also know that everybody, regardless of how they feel about Christianity or about God or like whatever thoughts that you have about it, like everybody has thoughts about it. And so this very last part of this segment is kind of just getting into like what do you think about this bigger kind of existence that we live in? There's literally no right or wrong answer, but just what have you ever thought about it? Do you put a lot of thought into it? Yeah.
I've definitely thought about it, and I'm trying currently, and I've definitely talked about my journey through faith. It's still an ongoing thing. I'm curious.
Yeah.
That is my thing. Another thing that I learned the other week with FCA is just how God loves, and I just love the idea of what's the word? Not portraying, but how God loves and how that is that message is being understood by others. Because I am a true, like, I love people and I love life, and just using that perspective was really nice to hear. So I guess I'm just curious and I'm just learning, and I'm open to what's to come through.
Yeah, whatever your walk looks like from here, like whatever your journey with faith.
And I don't feel forced on anything or committed to anything.
Yeah.
It's just me learning and wanting to know other things, I guess. Yeah.
That's good. That's very honest.
Yeah. I think curious is a great word. Like that stuff with religion, it's like nobody really knows. There's no like right or wrong answer. There's no you should be this or you should be that. But yeah, curious is a great word to describe that. I think for me, honestly, I'm so curious like about your journey, I guess. But
dude, I will say, because I was very much like where I was when I first like I kind of grew up in church, like my parents, well, like that's a big part of my journey, and like I just didn't understand it, and I also was very against, like, I felt like Christians just didn't care to understand people, and it was very much like a club, like a you not getting in it, like there was a bouncer at the door, and they was like, you not getting in this club, you not getting this in, but you can get in. I'm like, why can they get in? Like, that's literally what I was just very against the idea of religion and traditional Christianity, like to the point where I was like, I know I'm spiritual. Like, I knew there was something greater. Like, I was always very interested, and I literally like would look into, I also like to learn stuff as well. So I would do a lot of just like research on different religions and what makes one religion right or wrong, or like what is Buddhism? Like, what is it? Like all of those different things. Then I kind of came to a place where I was like, I think I'm spiritual, but just not religious. Like, I believe in God, or I believe in a God, and I believe that there's a higher power, but I don't necessarily want to commit to one thing or another thing. And it wasn't until like, I feel like I really was just like sitting, and this is like right before I met Elijah, like maybe 1 month before I met him, and I was just really going back and forth with myself, like what is the purpose of all this? Like, I really don't know, but I was okay with being with myself. That was a big part of it, like loving myself, forgiving myself for a lot of the things that I felt like I really felt guilty about. Like, I felt like I was a bad person. Like, that was a big part of it. And it was crazy because that's right before I met Elijah. And then when I meet him, he just shows me this love, which I know that you both have experienced in your life, because you don't necessarily need a romantic partner to walk in and show you a love that you just can't explain. Like, a love that just makes you feel so accepted. And like, he was on his walk, and he was a Christian, and I used to literally think, I was like, I'll never be with a Christian man. Like, when I tell you, I was like,
told me that,
and that was like one of my standards, and it was so crazy because he was walking into my life, and it was like him as a Christian was just this other thing about him. Like, it was very much, yes.
It was like bigger than that.
It was bigger than anything I could explain. And he, yes, at that time happened to be a Christian. He happened to have these beliefs, but also a big part of it was he shared his testimony with me, which is his lived experience, like stuff that you just cannot deny. And I found that, especially because I love people and I love hearing about people's lives, it's like, okay, sure, you're a Christian, you believe in God, you have all these experiences, but like what really convinced you? Like, what really made you be like, okay, I love Jesus, like Jesus is that dude, like like what made you think that? And now my whole walk has been essentially creating a testimony of my own, yes, but also seeing how Jesus has worked in people's lives, and just like wanting to know more about what that even meant, because I didn't even know Jesus was a real person. I'm being like, I had no idea. He is.
Totally fine if you didn't.
Totally a real man. You can look it up. There's a lot of, because I also, a big part of my thing was, do Christians not believe in science? Like,
yeah.
That, and you're really logical.
I'm very logical.
You're very,
so that's most of it.
And that's a big part too with me, was meeting people who were like-minded like me, that were like, because people talk about this blind faith, and like, never in the Bible does it say that your faith needs to be blind. Like, and that's also a process that I had to go through, but I really was just asking the questions to the people who I felt like had answers, and who I felt like I believed in just their truth, and that they were speaking about something greater. And that's the only way I can describe how I am where I am now, is like asking those, because I was just as curious as you guys. Like, I really was, and I feel like I've started to find answers that are satisfying that curiosity. So we can all...
Yeah. Wait, what's the most like surprising thing you've kind of found?
Surprise? That's a great question. That's a great question.
Or like, maybe like, how was it applicable to your life?
Yes.
Like, how did it fit in your life?
And that's a great question, because I love to read.
Yes.
I love...
you love learning.
I love learning.
You do.
So it's like, I wasn't just going to be... Because I also used to think, I said this in the last podcast, I used to think that Christians were all sheep and didn't ever think for themselves. I thought that as well. And I think that now, as I'm getting into it, one thing that I've really discovered as truth, like raw, real truth, is that the Bible, like what's in the Bible, is very real. Like, and there's not anywhere in the Bible can you find, what's the word for it? Inconsistencies. Like, the Bible doesn't ever contradict itself. And I found that this book being written like thousands of years ago, like whenever it was written by all these different people, because the Bible's also not one book, it's like a series of books. And it's like, people think that, oh, man wrote the book. It was just a person writing the book, but really everything in the Bible was directly from God. Yeah. And that's what as I get more into just reading it, like getting into it, just even flipping the pages, even when I didn't even understand what I was reading. I'm a big context person as well, so I would just like literally look up the internet. We have ChatGPT nowadays. You can look anything up. It's so easy. So anything I didn't quite understand, I would like just go into the Bible, read it, and be like, what does that even mean? Or I don't agree with that. Yeah. I would look at things in there that I'm like, I don't agree with that. And I would try to go and figure it out a little bit. But the biggest change in my life, or the biggest thing that I've found, to answer your question, is like that there is truth out there. It's just about where you're going to look for it. And I found that the Bible is like what I believe to be 100% true. And I can go into more details of like why that is. Yeah. But there's also like, there are over 300 or something like that prophecies in the Bible. And when Jesus came and he lived his life, he fulfilled every single one of them. So like the Old Testament's like all these things of, oh, there's a Messiah who's going to come. He's going to do this. And then when Jesus came, it was like his life just was laid out exactly how they said it would be. And I think that that's like, is that the world's largest coincidence? or is there's some truth to this?
Or is this guy good?
Or is this guy just that good? No, seriously. Yeah. So that's a wonderful, wonderful question. And you guys are two very intelligent people who, like, if it's just like you were saying, you sense genuineness. You sense when people are like not being authentic. And I think that is also what I've learned, is the things about me that have made me me, and my gifts are all things that were given to me by God for a reason. And he loves you exactly how you are. Mm-hmm. Exactly, like even when nobody else in this entire world, if you feel like no one else in this entire world can love you, like he created you and he knows your life and what it's going to be like, and what it's been like. And so it's like that gives me a sense of security that I was never able to find in anything in this world, like anything. Drugs, sex, like all that kind of stuff. Like you can't fill those voids with those things. So yeah, do you have any other questions that you wanted to involve? We're also gonna, when we end the podcast, we're gonna have a conversation too. But do you have anything that you want to ask right now, Pani? Because I feel like your brain's going okay.
Well, I can see you thinking.
Yeah, I wanna thank all of you again. I'm so filled with just so much encouragement from all the previous episodes, and now this being episode 6. And I just want to thank all of you who continue to support me and just show up and feel like I hope you're learning something, or, just feel like you can relate to anybody in where they are, because I have some really wonderful people in my life that I'm so glad that you guys get to see and meet. So yeah. Do you guys want to say anything when you Pani, you want to ask for a job or anything? No way out.
I'm not done with school yet, though.
Say hi to mom and dad or anything.
Hey, mom, dad.
Hey, mom, dad.
Okay. Thank you all again. I love you and God loves you more, and we'll see you next week.
Joy like a fountain I've got. Joy like a fountain I've got. Joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I got peace like a river. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got love like an ocean in my soul.